In today's video, we're going to be diving into the most mysterious and strange TikToks nobody can explain. Hit that like and subscribe button, and let's dive in. Quick disclaimer, this video is for entertainment, commentary, and educational purposes only. We are examining theories, claims, and different perspectives, not presenting them as verified facts. Review the evidence, do your own research, and come to your own conclusions.
So this guy takes a bell and puts it in a vacuum chamber, and then he pounds this bell as hard as he possibly can, and he cannot hear a thing. Now pay very close attention to what happens when he adds air back into the...
And as we let the air in... Now I think the bell. You can't hear the bell quite clearly. And that's a very nice experiment to demonstrate how air is needed for the transmission of sound.
You see, what happens is sound is literally just particles vibrating through the air to get to the person hearing the sound. So if there's nothing in the air for the sound wave to pass through, then the sound wave can't travel. So sound cannot travel in a vacuum. With this being said, why don't we listen to this? So he's in the void of outer space, but you can literally hear him like clanking metal up against the ISS. How does that make any logical sense? My theory is that they are actually underwater and LARPing being in space. Why don't you listen to this clip of someone scuba diving? It sounds exactly the same, doesn't it? And funny enough, in Austin, Texas, they train astronauts underwater. They LARP being in space by being underwater in Austin, Texas. Must be a coincidence. But I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only. Of course, sound can travel in a vacuum.
What exactly are they trying to pull here? This is real footage from CBS in 1966.
5 feet of umbilical cord. That contains a life support system and communications link from the spacecraft life support system out through that chest pack.
I've got y'all now. These fools at NASA make it too easy. It's over. To all the fanboys defending the space program, please explain to me what this is. Give it another look. What is that? Are y'all actually seeing this? This is a clip I found through NASA's YouTube at the ISS, and it's still up there. Look, it's all a big joke to them, folks. They are mocking you. And then we have this guy in the background just openly hanging from a wire. This is one of the more easier ones to spot. You'll find clip after clip of all these guys hanging from wires. Like there's really nothing to argue about at this point. They're lying to you. Now this is obviously a CGI overlay. These jokesters know that only few of us with eyes to see will spot the mockery. But the masses are so brainwashed they'll never believe us. So here we have an actor, right, because they're actors, materialize this doll out of thin air. Or what's really happening is it's being transitioned from another video channel so she's able to interact with this doll in 3D space. That's how they get all their items to float. Now, unfortunately for them, this was a live stream. They were not able to edit that part out. Now, if you go see the original clip I mentioned, there's a part where he thinks he's interacting with an object and putting it away, but there's nothing in his hands. It seems like their video guy forgot to add it in there, but you'll see he's looking beside the camera, likely another monitor, showing him where the item is so he can see the CGI object. You've got to understand, almost everything they do is behind a virtual studio set. Since when did common sense and the obvious staring you in the face become a conspiracy? People somehow can't fathom that NASA, the government, the media lies to them on a daily basis. The joke is on them. And with as much as NASA loves to use green screen, isn't it suspicious that they also train and film in an underwater pool where they have an exact replica of the ISS? Is that where all the action actually goes down? Well, some astronauts have been asked that, and it seems like they got caught red-handed. Just watch.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Now sometimes you get water in the helmet, and it's either from sweat or from the cooling garments.
Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there? All right, well, I just encourage everyone to look up bubbles in space, #bubbles in space. Thank you very much.
I mean, come on, that's gotta put the nail in the coffin. So let's look inside the ISS because this setup kills me. I used to be an electrician, so I have to ask, has no one at NASA ever learned how to run a cable properly? Like, what makes you guys possibly think that this is some high-end sophisticated technology? It looks like someone dumped a tub of spaghetti inside.
That's true. I used to be a contractor for this company called Bright House. It got bought out by Spectrum, and I used to hook up coaxial cable. And I'm telling you right now, this is a mess. Zero cable management at all. You mean to tell me the brightest and smartest minds in the world constructed this with zero cable management? Where's the passion at doing your job correctly? You know? It's almost like they're showing us, oh yeah, we're doing a lot of high-tech stuff that you really can't understand, is the message I'm getting. You mean to tell me they're going to launch up in space and have these cables looking a mess like that? There's no way.
So with the ISS, we get gorilla suits, hairspray, pee drinking, and didgeridoos. Each publicity stunt gets more ridiculous from the last. And all these NASA fails, from the green screen projections, the fisheye lens, the photo manipulation, to grown men on wires, and more, are all proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are no astronauts in space. And all of it is ground-based fraud. And if this was really how you had to use a toilet for 6 months, you'd probably go mad. Once you realize all the fakery, it gets hilarious to look at all the content they produce. For me, the debate isn't whether or not they're lying. They are. It's clear that we're being deceived on a grand scale. The real debate is, what are they covering up by lying? And for those of you that have been paying attention and actually have done the research, you know the answer.
Interesting. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think?
Where does it come from? Grimoire, that's a book of magic spells. The structure of language, grammar, was originally understood as a magical system. Then there's cursive writing. We call it cursive because it creates curses. And spelling, you're casting spells. This isn't hidden.
I never broke it down like that. Cursive. Is that why they stopped teaching cursive? Interesting.
It's right there in plain sight. They just trained you to laugh it off as coincidence. But here's where it gets disturbing. In 1946, something vanished from American schools. Not prayer, not paddling. Etymology, the study of where words come from and what they actually mean. And the moment they removed it, you lost the ability to see the trap. Because when you understand what words really mean at their root, you start noticing that almost every word you use was designed to program you into accepting limitations you never agreed to. Let me prove it to you right now. There's a reason they stopped teaching etymology in 1946. Before that, every kid learned to decode words, to understand the hidden programs inside language. Then it stopped. Everywhere. All at once. They replaced it with memorization and standardized tests. Why? Because if you knew that understand literally means to stand under, to submit, you might stop saying I understand in every agreement. If you knew government breaks genes to govern, meaning control, and ment, meaning mind, you might start questioning authority differently. They gave you a corrupted vocabulary and told you words don't matter. But words are spells, and they've been casting them over you your entire life. Listen, I know how that sounds. I know you're probably thinking, okay, this is going to be some weird metaphor thing. But stay with me, because what I'm about to show you isn't a metaphor at all. It's physics, it's biology. And they've systematically hidden it from you because once you understand that your words aren't describing reality, they're creating it. you become ungovernable. Here's the truth nobody's telling you. You've been doing the work, right? Like positive thinking. This means you're not lazy, and you're definitely not missing some secret ingredient. But here's what's happening. You've been using contaminated language that programs failure directly into your nervous system, and they did that on purpose. Think about it. You say, I'm trying to lose weight. What does your subconscious hear? Trying, attempting, but not succeeding. It means effort without result. You say, I want to be successful. Your body hears want, lack, desire, the state of not having. You say, I need more money. Your cells receive need, scarcity, desperation, emergency mode. Every single one of those statements is a spell, and you just cast limitation into your reality without even knowing it. Now here's what they don't want you to know. The elite study etymology like their lives depend on it. They teach their children Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, Hebrew, these ancient languages that are basically frequency codes. While they're learning to program reality, they give your kids text speak and emojis. They dumb down the vocabulary.
I think one of you guys even told me that emojis, like some of the emojis are, what are they called? Sigils. I can show you better than I can tell you.
This is the face of steam from nose, which was once called the face with the look of triumph, which is also the sigil of Bael. And here are a few other examples, as you can see. So come on, let's not kid ourselves. It is what it is. They can't help themselves. They have to weave these things into our lives, and yes, it's sneaky, methodical, and evil. Now, do these emojis have any power? Well, tell me, why would they cause everyone to start using these emojis under the guise of improving communication through text? And using these emojis in a sequence is like a code or spell.
These are demonic sigils? What are you saying?
Yeah, the original 72 emojis. They're not just little faces, not just cute little symbols we throw around in texts. No, they're demonic sigils, actual sigils, spells, hidden right in plain sight. You ever heard of the Lesser Key of Solomon, the ancient book? The book where King Solomon wrote down symbols to control and summon demons. You know how many there were? 72. 72! Same number as the first emojis ever created for Windows, Mac, iOS, everywhere. Coincidence? Nah. Look at this. See the laughing emoji? The one with the X's for eye?
Are you kidding me, guys? Look. It looks just like the sigil. The laughing with the crying. Are these the 72 spirits in the Lesser Keys of Solomon?
Guys, that's a sigil. The tongue emoji? Exact match with a demonic seal. Look at this. Look at this one. Come on. This one. Look at the zipper mouth emoji. You think that's random? No. It's a symbol for silence. A spell. And check this out. See the one with the teeth? The big, exaggerated grin? Compare it to this ancient sigil. It's identical. Identical! You still think this is an accident? A fluke? Man, every single emoji we've been using, laughing, crying, even the damn heart emoji, it's all part of something bigger. We've been using these symbols for years, not knowing what they really mean. So when you send that little yellow face, ask yourself, what are you really summoning?
This is just a theory, not a fact. Emojis are demonic sigils? What are you—
Remove etymology from schools, and they tell you the biggest lie ever told. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not protection.
Man.
That's programming you to dismiss the most powerful force in your reality. Words aren't neutral. I need you to understand this. They're not just communication tools, they're technology. Frequency technology. Every word you speak creates an electromagnetic signature. Problem is, nobody told you that thoughts don't create reality. Words do. Because thoughts are made of words, right? You can't think without language. And if your language is corrupted, your thoughts are corrupted, which means your reality is corrupted.
Maybe that's why when we pray, we should pray out loud instead of just saying it in our heads. Just a thought.
It's that simple. And get this, spelling and casting spells aren't coincidence. But once you decode even 5 words, you can't unsee it. Mortgage. Mort means death, like mortal mortuary. Gage means pledge, like engage. A binding agreement. Mortgage equals death pledge. You're signing a death pledge, and they call it that right to your face. Pharmacy comes from pharmakia, sorcery, witchcraft. Government equals govern, control, plus meant mind, mind control. They're telling you exactly what they're doing, and you're agreeing because nobody taught you to read the code. So here's what changes once you understand this. Once you get that language is literal reality programming technology, you gain complete linguistic sovereignty. You stop speaking unconsciously. You stop signing invisible contracts. You stop casting limitation spells over your own life. You reclaim the creative power they've deliberately hidden from you. This isn't about positive thinking. Positive thinking is surface level.
I almost feel like when people try to diagnose you with something, that's a spell in its own, you know, trying to say you have something, you know?
It's like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. This is about understanding that you are a frequency generator broadcasting electromagnetic signatures every second. And language is how you tune that frequency. Some people manifest easily, and listen, it's not because they're more spiritual or more blessed. They just understand that every sentence is a contract with the
Hebrew root. Well, since he said blessed like that, like it was a bad thing, blessed actually in Hebrew means quadash, and quadash means set apart. You gotta be careful, man. It's like everybody against him nowadays, but you gotta have eyes, real lies. Keep your head on the swivel, even though he's cooking, but that blessed. I heard you, buddy.
universe. And the universe always says yes. Why decode language when you can just memorize what they tell you it means, right? Just trust us. This word means this. Don't ask where it came from. Don't ask what the roots are. Just memorize it and move on. This was coordinated. After World War II, after they saw what propaganda could do, how language could move entire nations, how words could convince people to do unspeakable things, they systematically removed linguistic literacy from education. Edward Bernays. You got to know this name. Nephew of Sigmund Freud. Literally wrote the book on propaganda, public relations, he called it. He understood that controlling language controls populations. And his whole philosophy was this: a population that decodes language is dangerous. A population that understands etymology asks too many questions. They see through the manipulation. They recognize the spells being cast. Look at the word grammar.
You know, with that being said, you know, with that being said, on Dark Waters 9, I recently did a video about 3 days ago where I was talking about the Strong's Concordance and breaking down the Tetragrammaton and deriving the real names of God and Jesus. When he appeared before Moses in the burning bush and he said, "My name is I am who I am," in Paleo Hebrew is translated to YHWH. And you're able to get Yahuwah from the YHWH. That's why you'll hear some people say Yahuwah. They're doing their best to try to break down God's real name as far back as they can go. You pull out your Strong's Concordance, you'll see Jesus' name was Yahuwshuwa, and it was in the Bible 218 times. Don't believe anything you hear on this video. Do your own research on everything. A Strong's Concordance. If you give me a sec, I'll find his real name for you. The letter J was invented 500 years ago. Before then, they didn't call him Jesus. It was Iasis. That was about 550 years ago. But what happens if you keep going as far back as humanly possible? Alright, here's the page number. Then we go down. Look at 3091. Yahuwshuwa. 218 times in the Bible. Now back to your regular scheduled programming. These are the kind of mysterious videos and disturbing clips that just don't make any sense. Watch this.
Here in the U.S. tonight, and to this incredible sight seen in several states, a 7-ton meteor shooting across the sky. The sonic boom heard over multiple states. The meteor 6 feet in diameter, the ground shaking. Here's Rhiannon Alley tonight.
Hold on, what landed and what caused it to shake?
Night, NASA says this bright red fireball streaking through the sky, moving at 40,000 miles per hour and seen from at least 10 states, is a rare daylight meteor crashing into Earth.
Oh, what the was that?
The asteroid bursting through the Earth's atmosphere, sending loud sonic booms, rattling homes from Ohio to Kentucky. The black...
Dang, it did shake the ground. Did you see that?
So powerful it shook the ground, the rumbling registering on a seismograph.
It was just like a boom, like that.
The meteor seen just before 9 a.m. for barely 5 seconds, traveling more than 34 miles in the upper atmosphere before breaking apart above Medina, Ohio, and seen across the Northeast.
Anybody
Did you guys hear about this?
see or hear what blew up?
Definitely too big for fireworks.
We felt a shockwave. We're not sure what it is, but it was big.
NASA says the meteor, nearly 6 feet in diameter, weighing roughly 7 tons, lit up the sky. It was even spotted by a NOAA satellite in space, unleashing the same amount of energy as 250 tons of TNT.
Was this really a meteorite, though? Where did it land? How come they aren't showing it?
It just broke apart violently, scattered fragments everywhere, and this explosion generated a shock wave or a pressure wave that traveled to the ground, and that's the people saw.
Aisha Jones lives in Maple Heights outside Cleveland and had just put her small children down for a nap when she says her house shook.
I immediately thought that somebody like a house or something big had hit the house.
David NASA says what makes this so uncommon is that it went over a populated area. And while 40,000 miles per hour is really fast for a human, it's actually slow for a meteor.
This is really one of those mysterious videos that no one can explain. Where's the specimen at? You guys can't calculate the trajectory and recover it? That was near Kentucky. This is all the way on the other side in California.
This ball of fire streaking across the night sky. The latest in a string of stellar sightings seen here overnight in California.
Whoa!
And Space City living up to its name.
Did y'all see that?
With this one Saturday afternoon in Houston.
a meteorite or a missile fell out of the sky.
Traveling.
When have they once recovered one and been like, look at what we found. This is what landed. You mean to tell me it just burned up? No. Everybody heard a thump.
At 35,000 miles per hour, NASA says.
That's where it came in at.
Part of it leaving a massive crater.
And just boom, then I heard a boom.
The meteor was about 3 feet in diameter, NASA says, and weighed about a ton before it broke apart in the sky, sending researchers and hunters alike to this park, searching for fragments.
Yeah, so I found 2 meteorites this morning.
So how does it feel?
I was very excited. It's very exciting to find it and know that you're holding something that just 2 days ago was in space.
Hold on, show us that baggie again. Y'all was moving kind of quick, wasn't they?
Galactic spectacles in the past week, experts say.
Oh, what the was that?
This in Ohio.
The size of the meteor is pretty big. You can see the fireball more easily.
An out-of-this-world experience that one need only look up to see.
Tell me they didn't flash that baggie real quick and go to the next segment. Something just seems off here. What really landed and where is it? More mysterious clips they can't explain.
Do things like embed the carbon nanotubes to make conductive structure so that information doesn't flow through a wire next to a structure, but literally flows through the structure.
We'll be able to grow or make a structure that, say, is the skin of an aircraft, that inside of that is also contained the sensors.
Nah, that's not normal.
Or the energy storage, or many different multiple functions.
New materials that are on the lab bench right now, they can literally change shape on command. They can become almost a muscular material.
Just like the nanobot Iron Man suit in Endgame.
We could have an airplane that optimizes its shape for the different flight conditions it's in.
There's definitely a lot of amazing technology that's going on with the Lockheed Samarai, based on the small maple seed-like looking device. The fact that we can package enough energy for something like that to fly and still carry a sensor, a camera, enough control capability for it to fly is amazing to me.
Did you just catch what he said? He said we have a nanobot Leaf Village Shuriken with a camera on top.
As we go forward, we're going to find new ways of using these unmanned vehicles.
They'll probably be autonomous, so they'll be like UAVs, but carry cargo around where there are currently no infrastructure in place.
We may have small swarms of small vehicles interacting with a larger vehicle, do things like embed the carbon.
You mean to tell me they're working on UFOs that can change shape? So basically they're reverse engineering alien technology and implementing that into new aircrafts that can change shape? First question I have is I want to see the specimen you guys are reverse engineering. Now we in Men in Black territory, intergalactic Palladians.
Now I gotta ask the question on everyone's mind, where do you say you come from exactly?
We make our home inside your moon.
Inside the moon?
Yes. Beneath the crust is a luminous sea, and our...
I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but they do look damn near twice the size of this man. What if they really were? And they was like, they're not going to believe us. Just throw them on air.
There's PhDs, people who had everything to lose, come on this documentary and walked away the day they fired that Hadron Collider up, saying that as it spun faster and faster and it come past them, they would hear people screaming. Yeah. And hear people saying, help me.
When was the last time you heard any good news coming from the Hadron Collider? Honestly.
Get me out of here. I'm burning. I'm tortured. I mean, just gruesome things. And they were afraid that they opened a portal or opened something up to let something out, essentially, is what they were afraid of. And those doctors and scientists walked out of there and said, I'm done. If you go, interestingly enough, and look up the, what's it called whenever you have opening ceremonies?
Are they trying to bust open some portals or what? The scary part I'm learning is that Switzerland, or wherever it's at, isn't the only place that has a Hadron Collider. They actually have several facilities all around the world. You know, they're just low-key about it. They aren't making headline news like that. And people have been reporting strange anomalies near the facilities. Nobody can explain it. You tell me what's going on. What did the church try to bury?
The Watchers corrupted the animals too. Ancient translators struggled with the meaning, but once you read it through a modern lens, it's obvious. This sounds like genetic manipulation, crossbreeding, forced hybridization, bioengineering. Almost every ancient civilization had myths of chimeric beings, part animal, part human. In Egypt, Thoth, with the head of an ibis. Anubis, jackal-headed. In Mesopotamia,
some people theorize that they were actually fallen angels. Or they could have actually been genetic experiments of the fallen angels, and they were behind the scenes pulling all the strings.
Egypt, Thoth, with the head of an ibis. Anubis, jackal-headed. In Mesopotamia, Lamassu, winged bulls with human faces. The Greeks had centaurs, minotaurs, satyrs. India had naga.
Could they all be genetic experiments? It's not adding up. If we look across all the different societies from across the world that probably didn't have any contact, you hear the same type of creatures. It's not adding up.
China had dragon emperors, hybrid guardians, experimental creatures, biological tools, monsters. The earth was corrupted, morally and biologically. The Nephilim devoured everything. The hybrids defied nature. And when the cries of earth reached the higher realms, judgment came for the Watchers and for the corrupted world they left behind.
I believe that's when Enoch came back and was like, I got a message for y'all.
The hybrids vanished, wiped out. So when people say the flood was about sin or violence, they're only half right.
Could have been a strong possibility of trying to get rid of all those abominations. The insatiable greed of the giants. Kind of reminds you about some Attack on Titan type stuff, which I think that's what they got their whole story from, if you've seen that anime. A hiker stopped and caught this mysterious footage on camera. Oh yeah, let's see it.
This hiker stopped to film the view, but he captured a biological anomaly because he noticed a figure standing on a ledge impossible to climb. But look at the zoom. It isn't a person. It spreads massive wings and dives. It has the silhouette of a woman, but the flight of a predator.
Something about this just seems off in a cool way. If you really analyze it, look how the actual dress of the woman transforms into wings though. You see it? Bam. It's like the clothing she wore turned into actual eagle feathers. That last clip was right on time after that Enoch hybrid experiments, huh? If you're enjoying this type of content, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you're new around here, we have a lot of fun on these deep dives, and we just want to welcome you to this community. All types of mysterious videos, disturbing clips that just don't add up.
The Book of the Dead isn't just magic, it's a map. It describes gates, guardians, and passwords. This reads like a technical manual for navigating a non-physical realm.
Like the underworld?
The Egyptians mapped the astral plane with the same precision they mapped the Nile. It was a geography of the afterlife. The Book of the Dead.
Think about it, something called the Book of the Dead, and you're navigating? Where exactly is y'all navigating?
Who goes out of his way to protect the story, not the site. Why does he do this? Because the second that lid comes all the way off, and we see what's really down there, the whole timeline collapses. Every single classroom textbook, every museum tour, every PhD built on the same foundation of primitive man with a chisel. This who goes out of his way to protect the story, not the site. Why does he do this? Because the second that lid comes all the way off, and we see what's really down there, the whole timeline collapses. Every single classroom textbook, every museum tour, every PhD built on the same foundation of primitive man with a chisel.
That's it? They don't got no other explanation. They're running with that idea, huh?
This would be gone. You don't hide bulls. You don't lock away pottery. You do hide giants. You do hide power. You hide technology and texts. You hide the old world. And don't forget, this isn't just Egypt. This is all over the world. We've seen the same thing in Southern Illinois. The same thing. Underground tombs, massive skeletons, 6 fingers, 6 toes, buried and gone.
Yeah, this dude looks creepy. That looks like C-3PO, doesn't it? From Star Wars? Maybe George Lucas was on one with that one.
covered up, just like Malta, just like Turkey, and just like Peru. I don't believe that Mariette found the Serapeum. I believe that he was sent there because somebody already knew what was under the sand. Lids were already cracked open. Contents were already removed.
Damn, I wonder who got to it first and who removed whatever was inside. What do you think was inside these giant tombs is the question.
They needed a name to stamp on the discovery. A fall guy. A story. Meanwhile, at the same time, we got 154,000-pound coffins, all emptied out. The contents inside, they're all gone. They're removed, all for preservation. And we've all just gone on with our lives like that's normal. And it's not normal. I believe this was the biggest heist in human history.
It could have been one of two things in there. They had some type of creature trapped in there that they didn't want people to see the skeleton, or it was some type of aquifer conductor battery reservoir for the pyramid.
They didn't rob a tomb. I believe at this point, they robbed our timeline. The old world existed, the giants were real. The tombs weren't made for bulls, they were made for kings, Nephilim kings.
Damn, or a Nephilim king. Shout out to my lunch break.
The best way I can say, Sean, is it's not from here. I spent 20 years researching this topic, working this topic directly on behalf of the American people, and I did everything I could and did confirm that some of the things that they're seeing are obviously, completely terrestrial, whatever word you want to use there.
That's not normal.
From potential adversary nations, from defense contractors and companies here, commercial sources. However, there were still cases that we could not attribute to any nation on Earth, and that says a lot.
Maybe because they came from a different nation outside the wall.
Do you both believe that they're hostile, Dan? Hostile forces, entities, if you will.
I think that's to be determined. We do not know.
So we don't know for sure.
We don't know what their intentions are.
I don't like that. Where's the men in black when you need them?
Look, I interviewed 34 military government intelligence officials, Sean. They couldn't tell us any better than you could what the intention of non-human intelligent life is, right? All we know is that this is a real situation. It exists. There are UAP penetrating our most sensitive airspace. It is a problem. And even if you can't wrap your head around the idea of it being non-human intelligent life, what are the choices you're left with?
A fallen angel experiment offspring, or possible demons forming into skin suits.
An adversarial nation like China or Russia has leapfrogged us technologically and is invading our most, classified and protected airspace. That's not great either. So, no matter how you have to look at it to get your head wrapped around it, it's got to become a serious conversation, a serious national conversation, a serious global conversation. And, the film reveals there has been a deeply hidden crash retrieval and reverse engineering program in the United States. China has one, Russia has one. There is.
So they don't know if it's a UFO or a UAP from someone else.
In fact, a high-stakes secret Cold War race. Rubio talks about this race on camera, on the record, in the film, and makes it clear that if we don't get our act together as a nation, we're going to wake up one day. To quote him, he literally says, we will wake up one day and China will beat us. And we won't know how they got there or when they got there, but we will be screwed.
Reverse engineering UFOs. Interesting. If you thought I didn't have another excellent specimen for you today, think again. Use it. Alright. Look at this Tourmaline. Oh my goodness. Even the top. I already know what I'm going to name this. I'm giving this Tourmaline a 9.0. And I'm going to call this the crystallized tree stump. Doesn't it look like it? You see the ridges on the side? Drop your rating and your name in the comments below. Tell me what you think. These are the kind of disturbing videos and creepy TikToks caught on camera. Unexplained footage that just doesn't make any sense. I know it's not April 1st. Am I tripping? Or do they really sound like that? Hold on, man. What's this? What is this? Church? Church hiding all the treasure. What's going on here? And how about the automation or the rotary system he has in there? It's been working for 400 years. Now this scene is out of control. I believe this is in Russia somewhere, but look at it. Look at the drop off into the canyon, and then you got the horse at the very top. Then it looks like some type of sculpture of some giant in this forgotten ruins. Or maybe there used to be something here and they got rid of it. Maybe the king was supposedly looking at something and they stripped whatever was there. This video just keeps getting more mysterious and crazier the more I watch it. Look at the sheer size of this location. I believe I could spot the prophets on one. There's a lot going on here.
You can spend so much time here. Check this out too. Look at this. This is inside the elephant's stomach. This is the elephant. And that is the elephant's stomach all the way around. You see that?
Interesting. So I wonder what it's symbolizing inside its stomach. Why would they do that? And how?
That's the elephant's stomach. There's the elephant's head there. That's cool as. Shiva inside the elephant's stomach. I'm not sure what it's supposed to mean. You can spend so much.
That's the $1 million question. What does it mean? Shout out to Liam Richards for finding that for us. Before we even play this video, look at this ancient structure. Tell me that doesn't look like a giant spark plug.
Something strange has been happening ever since TikTok made that deal with the US government. My videos aren't being deleted, they're being silenced. No new followers can see them. It's like someone doesn't want these discoveries getting out. Especially the ones I posted about Cambodia, the ancient hospitals, the forgotten technology, the evidence of knowledge we're not supposed to know about. These are the first to vanish. Hundreds of my videos showing real ancient sites.
The ancient forgotten history, they're trying to keep it that way.
Have been quietly buried. Why? You tell me, what is really going on here? Here is one of 3 videos that have been deleted 4 times. They do not want to show you how strong your mind is.
What on earth is, what type of creature is this? It looks like some type of wolf/dragon hybrid.
So here is one of the videos they keep deleting. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. The Khmer Empire believed your health started in the mind. They thought disease and suffering were born from a sick spirit, not just the body. That's why their kings built entire hospitals not to treat you after you were dying, but to keep you balanced, strong, and whole before illness could even take root. They filled their temples with their symbols of water, sky, and serpent guardians to remind people of harmony. They studied the stars. They spoke endlessly about spirituality, and they designed their world to keep the human spirit aligned with the cosmos. Compare that to today. We drown in distractions.
They spraying us, the 5G, the Wi-Fi, the hacking our biofields, just to say a couple.
We drown in distractions, endless noise, and screens that chip away at our mental health. Back then, they raised civilizations around keeping the mind clear. Now, we've flipped it upside down.
So again, this was dry blood. And I did see what looked like quantum dots. And obviously they were all lit when the blood was a new blood sample. And then I let it dry. And
look at it. It looks like a spider web network. You know, and this is supposedly in dried up blood. What type of neurons is going on?
And all the flashing kind of dots were gone. And I put this product, Masterpiece, that a lot of our patients got sick on. And it's actually lit this whole slide up, and it's formed a network.
See, I wasn't tripping. It does look like some type of spider web network. And those things bright up. I thought you needed an electron microscope to see nanobots. But this must be large enough for a regular microscope to see it because of the networks, is what I'm thinking. Or unless she's using an electron microscope.
It's formed this network of, you can see, it's formed this network of dots. But it's all over the slide. All these flashing quantum dots are all over the side, and it's built these quite spectacular networks.
It does look bright, doesn't it? You can see like how they're like glowing to the light. You know, it's disturbing to think about what people say, like they be putting in our food and stuff. So is it that far-fetched to think that these nanobots are accumulating, making networks?
And it's also built, I don't know what they are, but they've literally built, but I don't know if you can see how these networks have been built all over the slide. I think you can. You can see, oh, and they're all going, they're being drawn. You can see they're being drawn and it's self-assembling.
Wow, they are moving. I thought it just was a still slide, but she's catching them in motion.
It's continually self-assembling now on the slide. Yeah, everywhere on this slide. And that was one drop of Masterpiece. One drop.
Full of nanotechnology.
And this is why I think our patients got super sick, like the vax injured, got really sick on this product, because it's building these incredible networks. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
The disturbing part about this TikTok, I don't think most people realize that Terminator popped off in 2030. When they're walking around, you know, and the war with the machines was popping off, that was 2030. We got what? 4 years. They're already talking about they're trying to make AGI. I forgot the names of the different steps, but AGI is the next step towards AI evolution. Elon Musk said the first question it's going to ask AGI is, what's outside the simulation? Speaking about simulation, no, this is real. This is the real deal.
This is the purplest bird in the world. My name is Davis, and today we are talking about the Amethyst starling, also known as the violet-backed starling, perhaps the most brilliant bird in Africa.
This bird is extraordinary, to say the least.
Amazingly, this footage is completely unedited. Now, this brilliant color does not arise from a pigment like almost all color found in nature. Instead, something much more complicated is going on. Inside each feather, stacks of melanin granules and air pockets form nanostructures that act like layered nanomirrors. They bounce light back and forth so that violet wavelengths line up and amplify, while other colors cancel out. It is angle-dependent interference, and thus changing the viewing angle shifts the shade. Also, the lighting affects the shade. In bright sun, it looks almost neon. In shade, it deepens to wine purple. The blue found in birds like the blue jay also arise from similar structures. Females do not possess this nanostructure and are evolved for camouflage. They are brown with bold streaks.
This makes me think about all the birds that went extinct. You know, who knows all the different types of colors they had back in the day, you know? Hopefully this one isn't on the endangered species list.
Alright, this is what these fighter jets be experiencing on a daily. Look at this UFO. Now I'll play it again in slow motion so you can see this. Now they experience this all the time. People don't be believing them. This one recorded it.
You know, they be up in the air all the time. It's just a matter of time till they see something. The next time I get on a plane, I want to ask one of the pilots, did you see anything while you're flying around?
Do you know what government means in Latin? Govern means control, steer, pilot, or direct a ship. Mint comes from mentum, which means mind, thought, intellect. Control mind. Mind control. But now you're good. Just keep on letting it roll you. Yeah. Do you know what government means in Latin?
Short for MK Ultra. We don't really hear too much about MK Ultra anymore. They say, well, that's old technology, Chuck. Now we go straight into the biofield and get your body information and what you're thinking. No need to project MK Ultra anymore, Chuck.
The dimensions of the king's chamber are resonant to the frequency of hydrogen. If hydrogen gas filled the chamber and was stimulated, it would create a maser, microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation.
You remember those bull coffins we was talking about the other day? That could have played a part into electrifying the pyramids.
This beam could be directed out of the southern shaft to Orion. The pyramid was an interstellar communication device or a weapon, not a tomb.
The craziest part about that theory, that's not the first time I heard it. The most disturbing theory I've heard is that they're reset generators, but they're inactive right now. They can't power on. When you power all the pyramids on, or a certain number of them, they cause a reset. How disturbing is that?
We are taught that architecture evolves slowly over time. But after the 1800s, something strange happened. The entire world changed its building style almost overnight. For centuries, cities were filled with copper domes, towering spires, star-shaped foundations, and elaborate stone facades that looked less like decoration and more like advanced engineering. Then, suddenly, by the early 1900s, they were gone. The domes disappeared. The spires were flattened. The ornate stonework vanished. And the buildings that once looked like energy devices were replaced with simple brick rectangles and
because they want you to pay that damn energy bill. Like water, the spring fountains that's everywhere. We're not supposed to pay for water or electricity. Not with all this ether in the air swirling.
Why? We are told it was fashion or cost saving. But that explanation collapses the moment you look closer. Many of these old world structures were built with materials and techniques far more expensive and far more complex than anything used today. Copper roofs, limestone blocks, perfect symmetry, mathematical precision. Yet the people who supposedly built them left almost no records of how they were designed or constructed. And here is where the mystery deepens. These buildings resemble components of an electrical system. Domes shaped like capacitors. Spires shaped like antennas.
And spark plugs, I keep saying it. That's why it's erased history. Because the ancient history will show you how advanced they were back in the day.
Star forts shaped like grounding grids, all of them appearing worldwide long before electricity was invented. Then, right as modern power companies emerged, the architecture changed. The domes were covered or removed, the copper was stripped away, the towers were demolished, and the buildings that once looked like receivers and transmitters stopped being built entirely. It is almost as if the world abandoned a technology it no longer understood or was no longer allowed to use. So what happened in the late 1800s? Why did the old world stop building structures that look like electrical devices? And why did the new architecture erase the shapes and materials that could have harnessed atmospheric energy? Because if the old world truly had a different power system, then the sudden shift in architecture might not have been an evolution. It might have been a replacement, a reset of how the world was meant to be powered.
Yeah, it looked like a reset didn't happen, and the people that found all these old structures, they didn't build it, they found it, walked straight in and was like, the original squatters. That's all we got for today's video. If you made it this far, be sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and be sure to drop the code word in the comments below. Today's code word is love. Go ahead and drop love in the comments below. When you do that, that lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way to the end of the video and you really rock with your boy. I just want to say I love you guys. And I'm going to see you soon tomorrow on Dark Waters 9.